The hotel key card wasn't mine, and it slid out of my husband's suit pocket onto our kitchen tile the second he bent to untie his shoes. His phone lit up at the same time, one message preview, bright as a flare, same room next week? Don't be late again, face blowing a kiss, and his hand snapped over the screen like I'd tried to steal it. He laughed too loudly, kicked the card under the cabinet with his sock, and kissed my cheek like that would erase the sound of plastic skittering. His cologne sat on him in a way it never did after late meetings, sharper, fresher, like it had been reapplied in a hotel bathroom mirror. I picked up the dish towel and kept wiping the counter, because if I said a single word, he'd lock that phone so hard it would never open again. He walked past me toward the shower, and as he crossed the hallway, I saw it, his suit jacket swinging open for half a second, the inside pocket bulging with a folded paper receipt that didn't belong in our life. Water started running. I slid my hand under the cabinet and pulled the key card out with 2 fingers, holding it like it could burn me. The card had a name stamped on it in thin black letters. Not his. Not mine. Just the hotel's logo and a room number that meant nothing until it did. His phone buzzed again on the kitchen island. He'd left it face down, but the vibration walked it in tiny steps toward the edge like it wanted to fall into my hands. Another buzz. Another. A third message hit hard enough to flip the phone slightly and flash the screen. Cash App. You received $950. Then it went dark again. My stomach dropped so fast it felt like my ribs moved. We didn't use Cash App for anything except splitting dinner with friends, and nobody sent my husband nearly $1,000 by accident. The shower roared. I moved like I was crossing a room full of mousetraps, picked up his phone, and pressed the side button once. Face ID. His wallpaper was still the photo I took of us at the lake last summer, my smile frozen like a lie I didn't agree to anymore. One notification stacked under the other. Cash App $950. Cash App $950. Cash App $950. 3 deposits in 10 minutes. Then a message thread with no name, only a single letter emoji as the contact, Blackheart. The last line sat there like a handprint on glass. Don't forget to bring your ID. And wear the blue one. They'll ask questions. The phone tried to lock itself. I tapped the message thread, but it wanted his face, his thumb, anything but me. The shower cut off. I set the phone back exactly where it had been and stared at my wet palms like I'd been holding a live wire. He came out with a towel around his waist, hair damp, eyes too bright. Everything okay? He asked, already answering himself with a smile that didn't touch his face. I held up the key card between 2 fingers. It looked ridiculous in my hand, like a toy, like a prank. This fell out of your pocket. His eyes flicked to it for a fraction of a second, fast, trained, and his smile didn't move. Oh, that. Conference room access, he said, and reached for it like it was normal. I didn't give it to him. Not yet. He laughed again, softer, like I was being cute. Babe, it's nothing. The hotel uses those for everything. The room number was still burned into my brain. Then why is it a room number? His jaw tightened, then loosened. He shrugged like he'd practiced shrugging. Probably a mistake. I'll call them tomorrow. The lie slid out too smoothly, and that scared me more than the key card. Because he wasn't scrambling. He wasn't confused. He was managing. His phone buzzed again. He moved toward it, casual, but his hand was already sweating when he picked it up. I watched his eyes skim the screen. A tiny tremor hit the corner of his mouth, and he swallowed like something bitter had just risen in his throat. He looked up at me and forced the smile back into place. Work, he said, too quick. Just, work stuff. My throat tried to close. If it's work, why are strangers sending you almost $3,000? For the first time, the mask slipped. His eyes sharpened, not at me, past me, like he was measuring exits. Then he did something I hadn't seen in years. He lowered his voice. Don't touch my phone. The words landed heavy, like a hand on my shoulder pushing me down. He'd never spoken to me like that, not once, not even in our worst fights. He took a step closer, and I caught a flash of something tucked behind his towel on the counter. A thin, glossy card, not a hotel key. A second SIM package. Brand new. Still sealed. His gaze followed mine, and the color drained from his face so fast it was almost comical. He snatched it up, crumpled it in his fist, then tried to laugh again, like laughter could rebuild a wall after it collapsed. It's for a client, he said, and the word client sounded wrong coming from him. He wasn't a man with clients. He was a man with a regular paycheck and predictable hours, until lately. He reached for my hand, like he could anchor me with touch. His fingers were cold. The shower steam drifted out behind him, fogging the mirror in the hallway. In that blurred reflection, I saw the folded receipt still stuffed in his suit pocket, the paper edge peeking out like it wanted to confess. He followed my eyes again, and his hand went to the pocket automatically. Too automatic. He pulled the receipt out and tried to fold it smaller, hide it, swallow it into his palm. But I saw the header before he could, a shipping store logo, and beneath it, a tracking number, and a line that made my mouth go dry. Contents declared, for X new iPhones. He wasn't looking at me anymore. He was listening, like he expected a knock on the door that wasn't there yet. His fist stayed clenched around that SIM package like it was a blade he didn't know where to put. The receipt trembled between his fingers, and when I reached for it, he backed up so fast his shoulder hit the hallway wall. For iPhones? I said, keeping my voice flat. Since when do you ship electronics for clients? He wet his lips and stared at the floor like the tile might hand him a script. It's temporary, he said. It's extra money. Don't make it weird. His phone buzzed again, and this time he didn't even pretend he wasn't scared of it. He glanced at the screen and flinched, like the words had slapped him. I moved closer and caught just enough before he locked it. They need the cereals tonight. Don't mess this up. Not baby. Not miss you. Just instructions. So she's your coworker, I said, nodding toward his phone. The one telling you what to wear. His eyes snapped up. You read my messages? The anger was a performance, and it was bad. His hand shook when he tried to fold the receipt smaller, and the paper crinkled loud in the quiet kitchen like a warning. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I didn't give him anything he could use to pivot into a fight and storm out. I just stepped past him and opened the trash cabinet like I was looking for a new bag. A torn strip of glossy cardboard sat on top, bright purple, half hidden under coffee grounds. It matched the SIM packaging he was squeezing. I plucked it out and read what was left of the label: prepaid, unlimited, no contract. Then I turned it over and saw the activation code scratched off, the way you'd do it in a hurry. His face went gray. Stop. I held the strip up. How many phones do you have? He swallowed, and the towel at his waist slipped a little, like even fabric wanted to run from him. One, he said too fast. Two. It's nothing. The lie didn't fit. Men cheating by cologne and excuses, not burner phones and bulk iPhones. He tried to step around me toward the bedroom, and I blocked him without thinking. His eyes darted to the front door again, measuring, listening. Who is she? I asked. And don't say client. His jaw worked like he was grinding something down. She's someone I met, he said. It's stupid. I messed up. That's all you need to know. The words hit like a shove because they were meant to end the conversation. But the Cash App notifications were still burning behind my eyes, and the receipt was still in his hand like evidence. I pointed at it. What's the tracking number? He tucked it behind his back. I heard my own voice sharpen. Say it. He stared at me for a long beat, and for a second I thought he might actually tell me the truth. Then his phone buzzed again, and the moment snapped. He grabbed his jeans off the chair, shoved his legs in, and said, I'm going out. Not to clear my head. Not to give you space. Just out, like I was a room he could leave locked behind him. He reached for his keys on the counter. I reached first and slid them into my pocket. His breath caught. What are you doing? I lifted my eyebrows. If it's nothing, you can stay. His hands went to his hair, tugging. That's when I saw the tiny red mark on his neck, half hidden under damp stubble, new, angry, like a bite. He saw me see it and his shoulders slumped. Okay, he said, voice low. Fine. I'll tell you something. He leaned in like confession was intimacy, like he deserved softness for it. She said she had a friend in wholesale, he whispered. Electronics. Easy flips. I didn't have to do much. Just receive stuff, forward it, get paid. My mouth went dry. Forward it where? He hesitated. A pickup place. Mailbox rental. And your ID, I said, remembering the message. They asked for your ID. His eyes flicked away. Just to verify, he said, too quick. It's normal. Nothing about this was normal. He wasn't being a cheater in over his head. He was being handled. His phone buzzed again, and he didn't even look this time. He just said, I have to go, like someone had a rope on his wrist and yanked. I didn't argue. I followed him to the door as he grabbed his jacket, and he moved fast, too fast, locking the deadbolt behind him like he was the one who needed protection. Through the peephole, I watched him jog to his car and sit there without turning the engine on. He stared at his phone for a full minute, thumbs hovering, then finally drove off like he'd been given permission. The moment his taillights vanished, the kitchen felt too quiet, like the house was holding its breath with me. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the keys I'd taken. Not his car keys. The small, sharp-edged key from his ring, the one for the lockbox in our closet where he kept important documents. The lock clicked open like it had been waiting. Inside was a stack of shipping receipts, rubber-banded tight, and every single one had the same handwritten name in the corner. A woman's name. Not his. Not mine. Then I saw the photocopy tucked underneath, his driver's license, scanned and printed, with the address line whited out and replaced. My address. My house. My hand started to shake so hard the paper rattled. And right then, my phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. No greeting, no name, just a single sentence that made the room tilt. If you love him, don't go to the hotel. The screen glow sat in my palm like a threat, and in the silence of my kitchen, the lockbox key felt suddenly heavy enough to drown me. My thumb hovered over the unknown text like it could bite me. The message didn't ask. It warned, like someone already knew what I was about to do. I didn't reply. I grabbed his stack of receipts, the altered copy of his license, and my own keys, and I left the house with the lockbox key still warm in my fist. His car wasn't in our driveway when I pulled out, but the conference hotel key card was in my pocket, and that room number felt like a countdown. I drove with the windows down even though it was cold, because the air inside my car tasted like panic. The hotel lobby was all soft music and polished stone, the kind of place where people cheat quietly and nobody looks up. I walked straight to the front desk and slid the key card across the counter like I belonged there. The receptionist smiled. Checking in? I leaned closer. My husband's card fell out of his pocket. I need to return it. What name is on the reservation for that room? Her smile didn't change, but her eyes did. She tapped twice on her keyboard, then paused like she'd just seen something she didn't want to say out loud. I'm sorry, she said carefully. I can't share guest information. I nodded like I expected that. Then I pulled out the altered license copy from the lockbox and placed it on the counter, keeping my finger on the whited outline. Someone used this, I said. And they used my address. I live at that address. If you don't tell me who's in that room, you're letting someone commit fraud with my name. The receptionist's face tightened. She looked behind her at a manager, then back to me. Please wait, she said, and disappeared into a back office. While she was gone, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. One more line. She's not his mistress. She's his handler. I stared at it until my vision blurred. The words didn't make sense, and they made perfect sense. The receptionist returned with a man in a suit who didn't smile. He took one look at the license copy, then at the hotel key card, and his voice went low. Ma'am, he said, that room has been paid in cash for 3 weeks. By who? I asked. He hesitated just long enough to confirm my fear, then said, the reservation is under a woman's name. He slid a business card across the counter like it was a peace offering. I can't give you details without police. Then call them, I said, and my voice didn't sound like mine. His eyes flicked over my face, weighing whether I'd cause a scene. He picked up the phone behind the desk. While he dialed, a bellhop rolled a luggage cart through the lobby. 2 suitcases, both with bright orange shipping labels slapped on the sides like afterthoughts. One label had my address printed on it. My legs moved before my brain did. I stepped in front of the cart. The bellhop blinked. Excuse me? I pointed at the label. That's my address. He frowned, leaned in, and read it. It's going to room. He stopped himself, like he'd been trained not to say numbers out loud. But his eyes darted to the same direction the hotel key card number had already burned into me. The manager was still on the phone, voice tight, saying words like identity and fraud. The bellhop tried to go around me. I grabbed the suitcase handle. Ma'am, he started. Open it, I said, and my voice came out flat, deadly. He recoiled like I'd slapped him. I can't. I didn't need him to. The suitcase zipper pull was right there, cheap metal, too easy. I yanked it open. Foam, cutout shapes. Phones, new, boxed, stacked, sealed, more than 4. My throat closed so hard I couldn't breathe. These weren't gifts. They were inventory. The bellhop backed away like the suitcase had turned into a bomb. The manager's head snapped toward me. What are you doing? He barked, hanging up the desk phone mid-sentence. Before he could move, the elevator doors opened with a soft chime, and my husband stepped out. He froze when he saw me. Not surprise, terror, pure and immediate, like he'd walked into the wrong trap. He looked past me at the open suitcase, the phones, the orange labels, and his face emptied of all color. His mouth opened, but no words came. Behind him, a woman in a navy coat stepped out of the elevator like she owned the air. She was pretty in a sharp way, lipstick perfect, hair too smooth, eyes too calm. She wasn't looking at him like a lover. She looked at him like property. Her gaze slid to me, and a slow smile touched her mouth, like she'd been expecting me all along. Finally, she said, and her voice was warm, almost kind. You showed up. My husband's hands lifted slightly, palms out, the way someone does when they've been caught stealing. Please, he said, and it came out to me, not to her. Just, don't. The woman walked closer, heels clicking, and reached into her purse. For a second my brain screamed gun, but what she pulled out was worse in a quieter way. A phone. She tapped the screen and held it up so I could see. My name, my phone number, my address, my husband's license photo. A full profile, like a customer account. You're the clean one, she said softly, still smiling. No weird credit history. No debt collectors. You're perfect. The manager started to speak, but she lifted one finger and he stopped like he'd been trained to. Then she turned to my husband, and her voice sharpened. "You told me she wouldn't come," she said. "You said she trusts you." He swallowed hard, eyes glassy. "I didn't want her in this," he whispered. Her smile vanished. She stepped in close enough to touch his chest, not lovingly, measuring him. "You don't get to want," she said. "You get to deliver." I looked at my husband and saw it all at once. The late nights, the cologne, the hotel card, the burner, the deposits. It hadn't been romance. It had been leash money. He had been cheating, yes, lying, hiding, letting a woman wrap her life around ours, but he'd also been stupid enough to think he was scoring an easy hustle. And the moment he was useful, they'd started writing my name on the boxes. The manager cleared his throat, voice shaky. "Police are on their way." The woman didn't flinch. She looked straight at me, eyes cool, and said, "He's not the one who's going to pay for this." My husband made a strangled sound and took a step toward me like he could shield me with his body now, like that mattered. But the woman turned her phone screen toward him. One tap. A new message appeared, sent to me, from his number. "She helped me. She's in on it." My phone buzzed in my pocket at the exact same moment, like the universe wanted me to feel the knife go in. I pulled it out and saw the message sitting there, clean and convincing, already written in his name. The woman watched my face change and smiled again. Then she stepped back and spoke to the bellhop like nothing was happening. "Take the suitcases upstairs," she said. The bellhop looked at the manager, panicked, but his hand still reached for the cart like habit was stronger than fear. My husband grabbed the cart handle, yanking it back. "No," he snapped, finally finding a spine. "Stop." The woman's eyes went cold. She leaned in and said something too low for anyone else to hear, but I saw his reaction. His whole body went rigid, like she'd just named the thing he couldn't afford to lose. He let go. That's when the lobby doors swung open and two uniformed officers walked in. Relief hit me so fast my knees went soft. The woman didn't run. She didn't even turn her head. She just tapped her phone again. The manager's desk phone rang. He answered, went pale, and stared at me like I'd grown horns. He covered the receiver with his hand and whispered, "They're saying, there's a report that you threatened staff and tampered with luggage." My blood turned to ice. The officers looked at me, then at the open suitcase, then back at me like they'd already been handed a story. My husband stepped forward, voice cracking. "No, she didn't. This is my fault." The woman cut him off with a single glance. He shut his mouth like he'd been trained, again. I reached into my bag with shaking hands and pulled out the altered license copy and the stack of receipts, slapping them on the counter hard enough to make the pens jump. "That's my address," I said, loud, steady. "That's his license, altered. Those are shipments. Check the labels. Check the payments. Check his Cash App. He's being used." One officer took the papers, eyes narrowing. The other watched me like I was a threat anyway. The woman finally turned toward the police, smile gentle, posture perfect. "Officers," she said, like she was greeting guests. "I'm so sorry. This woman is my husband's mistress. She's been harassing us for weeks." My husband's head snapped toward her, horrified. She didn't look at him. She looked at me, and in her eyes I saw the whole trap. If I screamed, I'd look guilty. If I stayed quiet, she'd write my story for me. And she'd already started, with that message from my husband's number. The officer with the papers looked down at the altered license again, then at my husband. "Sir," he said slowly, "is this your ID?" My husband's throat bobbed. He stared at me like he was drowning and I was the shore. Then he did the last thing I expected. He reached into his pocket, pulled out the burner phone, and smashed it onto the marble floor. The crack echoed through the lobby like a gunshot. Everyone jumped, even the woman. My husband bent down, grabbed the broken pieces, and held them out to the officer like an offering. "Everything's on there," he said, voice shaking, eyes wild. "Her name, the drops, the serials, the messages. I'll unlock it. I'll tell you everything. Just don't let her put this on my wife." The woman's smile finally slipped. Just for a second. The officer took the phone pieces, and for the first time, his gaze shifted from suspicion to attention. He looked at the open suitcase again, then at the orange label with my address. Behind us, the elevator chimed, and two men stepped out, same navy coats, same calm eyes, scanning the lobby like they were arriving right on schedule. The woman's hand tightened around her own phone, and she didn't look at them, but her body angled toward them like she was suddenly protected. The officers noticed the men, and the air changed, charged, sharp. The manager's desk phone rang again and again, unanswered. My husband stood between me and the woman now, shaking, exposed, finally useful in the only way that mattered. The woman's eyes stayed on me over his shoulder, and her smile came back, thin, certain. Because even if the police believed me, she'd already done what she came to do. She'd put my name on the boxes. And as the officer stepped forward and the two men in navy coats stopped moving, my phone buzzed one last time in my palm with a new unknown number, one final line that made my vision tunnel. Check your front porch.